YouTube, what's going on? It's me, Vincent McLean, the Comic Machine, and I'm here today with a Monday night Jibber Jabber, and we're going to be talking about Once and Future. And if you haven't read this yet, well, guess what? You're about to get like a good like dive into kind of, conversation here. And I've got a super awesome guest to help me do and talk about all this. Let me bring him in here. All right.
What's up, my man?
Bearded Comic Bro.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be a part of this and talk some comics. I love it.
Bro, I am happy that you're here because like it's no fun it's fun, but it's more fun when you're actually like doing with other people. So, that's what's up. So thank you very much for coming on and hanging out.
Absolutely.
And I was trying to like find out like a real kind of like a better, more like consistent live name, live stream, topic name or whatever. And I wanted to try and kind of come up with like a similar like Monday Night Wars and stuff like that in Raw. So I feel like Monday Night Jibber Jabber is pretty awesome.
Nice. Now we just need someone to come up with a Monday night like a Nitro channel or something to compete with you to just put the ratings for 4 years to see who comes out.
That would be hilarious. I think it's actually kind of surprising how many wrestling fans there are in the comic community. It's
surprisingly weird. Like the first time I went to a con and there were WWE wrestlers there, I was like, this is an odd mix, like to have comic artists and comic writers and celebrities and WWE stars. But man, it's a unique group of us, I guess, because there's a lot of us that like it.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody where we can find you, man? Just kind of get the preliminaries all set out.
Mix, like to have comic artists and comic writers and celeb. Oops. That was me. So I was like, oh, that popped up. So all right, we're good.
Oh man.
You guys got me. You don't have the background going on.
You're good, man. That was hilarious.
Sweet. I was like, wait a second. I'm like, I swore I closed all my tabs, and I didn't. So rookie noob mistake right there. But so man, I'm the Bearded Comic Bro. You can find me. And I'm on a lot of streams throughout the week. But you can find me on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter at Bearded Comic Bro. Every Monday on YouTube, I'm dropping mystery unboxings, and then I try and drop something on Thursdays. So it's either going to be creator, artist interviews. Maybe it's going to be a game show with my wife. She comes on my show every once in a while. Or just some random comic stuff. So who knows? But yeah, so I drop content every Monday, Thursday night, and then try and hop on. I've been on Lamer Frame on Rod's channel a lot on Tuesdays. I have a show with John's Comics with Kids almost every Saturday night called Drinks and Movies, where we're two comic book channels that just talk about movies that aren't comic books. Usually,
that's awesome.
It's fun. So yeah.
All right, that's awesome. So if you guys haven't noticed or if you weren't aware, Bearded Comic Bro just hit and surpassed 300 subscribers recently, which is a pretty big milestone, climbing up towards that 1,000 subscriber ladder. So that's awesome, man. I'm very happy to see you really getting up there. So that's great.
Baby stepping it.
Hey, that's the only way. You just keep putting out the content, and we're gonna climb the ladder. We got to catch up to Sketh because he just decided he just wanted to just speedball past everybody. So
that's right. But hey, do some CGC unboxings. It'll be good.
Right. All right. So Once and Future. What is it, or how is it that you found yourself drawn, purchasing, collecting, and reading this comic book?
So this is one that I feel like a lot of people were hyping up. And I kind of got this talking with my LCS. This was one of the books that Boom was really putting their full force behind when it came to the the retailer convention in the summer. So we just talked offline that it came out in August, and so they were really pumping it up at the retailer summit that spring or summer, whenever they have it, typically. And so there was a lot of buzz around it. So I kind of had heard as I was watching YouTube videos and stuff like that about Once and Future, and being, it was talking about being loosely tied in with like King Arthur stuff. I was like, okay, that's my cup of tea. Like, my mom made me grow up. We used to watch all the medieval, types of movies and things like that. So when I'm like, we can get that in kind of a modern day but weird kind of form in comic books, I was like, yes. So I had to check it out, and I think for anyone that read issue 1, once you check it out, you're like, okay, I'm hooked.
I will definitely agree to that. I didn't know anything about Once and Future period before 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
Whoa.
So, and the only reason why I heard about Once and Future is because Dustin over at Two Bros Comics kept talking about it. Like, they'd bring it up whenever it come out, and he'd be like, this is my pick of the week, or something along those lines.
Right.
You guys need to check this out because it's good. And I was like, all right, let me just look it up online here real quick, and let me read the first issue and see what I think. And I'll tell you what, like, just like you said, after the first issue, you're hooked. Like, it was so good. So good. And that day, I don't know if he was doing a live stream or if it was off of video for like their Tuesday or the Monday picks, top picks. I went online to eBay and I found me a copy for basically cover price for cover A, which is actually like kind of not like difficult to find, but like it's kind of starting to get up there a little bit. Trying to find like a cover A of it. So
I was going to ask you that because, like, when you said only 2 weeks in, I know there was a lot of hype behind it. And I mean, I felt like it'd be hard to get. Is it not hard to get cover A for a decent price?
So I'm screen sharing with everybody here. This is the recent sold listings. Okay. So right here off the top, $9.99 for the cover A. First print, and I think I paid $6, like pretty much like almost cover price, but I think about $6 is what I paid. You got people selling single issues for $15. There you go, $10. Now this one is like really kind of sketchy because it says Virgin variant, but it's showing the cover A, so yeah, I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, the price of the book has actually really overall increased from the cover price, which is pretty interesting to me. So,
but not as much as I would have expected for something that would have dropped in August. Honestly.
Right. And
I feel like Something's Killing the Children. Number one, I feel like Something's Killing the Children and Once and Future were both kind of like those books that came out around the same time or close to it. That people were like, you got to check these out. And I know Something's Killing the Children 1A has got to be a lot higher price than $10 but man, I thought Once and Future would definitely be up there more.
Well, maybe it'll start to really climb because this is my speculation. So there's a new book dropping on Wednesday. Okay. We only find them when they're dead. That's also by Boom Studios.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking, maybe when that comes out, we're going to start to see maybe more uptick in Boom Studio hot picks. So Once and Future or Something Killing the Children, maybe that will start to climb a little bit more. And now that it's been out for a little bit, and I mean, even for recent sold listings, there's not really much selling at cover price. So it has uptick, but not nearly as much as Something Killing the Children. So, okay. All right. So
I was going to say that makes sense because I remember I picked it up. I was like, man, this book's going to be hot. I got to get it. I went into my LCS literally like a month after it dropped. He still had like 5 or 6 issue number 1 on the shelf. So I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, man. I was like, I don't typically, but I'm like, it's a month later. I'm going to buy another copy just to have it because I'm like, I know it's going to be a good book that someone's going to want someday. But man, I would have thought a little bit more than double, but It's still
That's
double.
interesting because, like, at your shop, they still had stuff on the shelf, but at my shop, they had nothing. They had it purely based off subscribers wanting it in their pull list. So, there are dedicated people trying to pick that book up and actually really have it to read and have it to collect. So, I will say, definitely for me, I picked this book up more of the read, not necessarily like the collect, because that's what it was presented to me as. Like, this is a great read. You guys should be really checking it out.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and just hop right into, issue 1. So basically the premise is, for the most part, you have a young, naive man that doesn't really know what to do with his life and what's going on. And he just ends up falling into a situation that he has no control over whatsoever and is having a really tough time coming to the realization that his grandmother is a badass. Right? So whenever I first read this issue and I saw that the grandmother was just going ham, I could, like, there was like certain like pop culture references and movies and stuff that were kind of playing in my head that like had like little bits and pieces that were kind of like putting two together. But it kind of like reminded me of the I think it's Bruce Willis movie Red, where you have like all the old people like are like these super secret agent kind of things. But it's medieval. It's dealing with King Arthur, and it is a completely different direction than we've seen before, right? So King Arthur is like this super awesome guy, and he's trying to bring peace and do all this kind of stuff, and then you realize that that's not the case here. What was your impression of that when you first read that and saw that?
I mean, first off, you mentioned Gran. Like, Gran is the best character in the story. And I was going to ask you, who do you, maybe it's me, but when you read comics, do you have like a voice for different characters in your head when you're reading it? Like, you
Absolutely.
Okay. So like Batman's voice for me is always Kevin Conroy, right? Like, whenever I'm reading any Batman comic, it's Kevin Conroy's voice. Like, it's not a Ben Affleck, it's not Michael Keaton, it's just his voice. So it's funny that you brought up Red, because I think for me, Helen Mirren is like the voice that I kind of got. And I know she's more, British, not Scottish. I think because they're Scotland, right? Is that?
Well, I think so, but like in the text and the writing, they don't use a font or anything to show that there's like a different accent being played out here. Okay. But we can assume that, they're in England, obviously. So maybe they are British or more Scottish. But
either way, I mean, I kind of picture that, and when I'm reading it, man, she has the best lines. Like, the first issue, I was telling you, I was kind of rereading it, and I was like, okay, yep, this is why I fell in love. Like, when she's sitting in the nursing home, and it literally is like, they're like, hey, can we change the channel? And she's like, you can change the channel if you want, but broken fingers take really long to heal at our age. Just like,
she's rolling a joint. Like, she's saying this as she's rolling a joint, and you're just like, what is going on here?
And then like she brings like Duncan, the son, the grandson kind of comes into the mix, and she's out in the woods, they're trying to find something. He's like, what is all this? She goes, well, I used to hunt vampires. She's like, you used to hunt vampires? She goes, well, yeah, until I ran out of them. Like
it is so funny. Like, when I'm scrolling through it, I'm sure you're looking at it too, but just like seeing like how nonchalant she is about it, talking about this to her grandson, like she's been talking to him about this his whole life, but he literally, it just went over his head like all through his childhood. It's just hilarious. It's so freaking funny. And I'm just like you said, you get the voices in their heads and stuff like that. And because my wife's grandmother, she calls her Gran. So like I'm kind of like more along that line of like connection kind of thing, because her Gran is like pretty much a badass too for the most part. I mean, she's not killing vampires and stuff. She's old now. She can't really do that. But
is she?
She might be. We just haven't found that out yet. But I definitely agree. You get that voice in your head.
Yeah.
And when I read it, I think of her because, like I said, my wife calls her Gran. That's her name. And so it's hilarious. I love it so much. Tell me about whenever, you know, they see the pile of, it's not a pile, it's like a cacophony of guns and just, you know, monster killing machines. What was your first take whenever she threw him that spear and then was like, here, you're going to need this. And then on that panel, you get that giant, like, snake, cow, leopard, lion creature. Like, when you first saw, like, the color of the page, what went through your head?
What the freak am I reading? Like, I mean, that's honestly is because I feel like, one, I did that too with, like, when you get to experience, you know, the mythical creatures that they bring in there, you know, the take that you kind of started to hit on of King Arthur. There's a lot of this where I go, and that's what I think drew me into it. I feel like so many times you can get into a comic book or an idea and you go, okay, I know where this, I have an idea, or you think you know where it's going, like where this story is going to go. And you know, how many times have we seen a King Arthur story?
Yep.
And
like any Superman or Batman, right?
Right. And this isn't, and not to say I don't like those stories or anything, but I feel like a lot of readers, if you're reading a comic book and you're like, I know what's going to happen, you're probably not going to invest a lot of time or money into it. So I feel like with the twist that Karen Gillan did with this book of kind of, it's not your traditional Knights of the Round Table telling, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, I remember when I first saw that creature, I forget what it's called, like the Wailing Watcher or I forget. It looked buck wild, and I was like, what is going on?
It's so crazy.
And Gran just like throws him out there as kind of basically bait, which also just goes to just show you how Gran is the entire issue. And I mean, she carries the story
100%. 100%. She is the storyteller of this story. 100%.
Yep.
So just to show you guys what we're talking about here. So they're basically, they come across like her secret stash, right? So you see all of this stuff here that she's amassed over the years. And the son is just completely astounded at what he's looking at. He can't comprehend it. And, you know, he's just like, what is going on? And there's the line, you used to hunt vampires? Yes, I used to. Then I ran out. And so he's just completely taken aback. She tosses him this spear. And she's like, oh, crap. And it's a questing beast is what she calls it. It's a questing beast. And he's like, what does that mean? And then all of a sudden, boom, here we go. This giant panel here with this snake head, lion body. You know, I don't know. What is that? Like a crocodile tail looking thing? Who knows?
No idea.
But, and then he's like, what do we do? And he's got to run. So, you know, it's just a really, really out of left field, out of nowhere that we get this character, and it really sets the tone for what we're about to have to endure for the next, you know, remainder of this issue and ongoing.
Right.
And I think when I first saw it, I was like, what am I reading here? Like I was sucked in at that point, 100% sucked in. And then, you know, it goes on. He ends up getting the quest beast off his back in one way or another. I won't tell you how, you know, the audience, I won't tell you how that happens. It just happens, and it's a little bit weird, but it works. And then, you know, we just kind of continue to progress on through the story, and, you know, the Gran is trying to give him more details as to like how he should already know this, because she's like been telling him his entire life, but he didn't take it seriously. And that like plays out in so many different stories and like movies and stuff that, you know, you have a character that's like the main character that's completely naive, but he's been told all that information all his life. And so it's just really kind of funny, but it's with the grandmother that's like, you know,
it was more that it makes it sound like the way they tell it is that these are characters like the questing beast and things that are told in legends that are like throughout the kind of this world. Like people will aware of like what a questing beast, or just like I feel like we know of the Loch Ness monster or Bigfoot, right? Like we have these characters in our heads, and he, it sounds like from my interpretation of, as an inquisitive kid, would always kind of ask Grant about like, so like and like the way their dialogue, at least in the first couple of issues, it almost comes off that she kind of like told him like, what are you talking about? They're just myth. Like she basically would, like, they talk about it, but she basically would play it off of like that they're myths. And the way she says it of like, man, hey, this is just, he's like, you told me all this was fake. She's like, well, yeah, but it wouldn't have done you any good if you knew it was true.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that out because like I said, like I started this a week ago. You read it within the past like day or so. That is definitely true. Like
a couple refresh. I've been on it for a while.
Yeah. So like it definitely shows that like she was basically trying to play it off like, oh, it's not real, but it is real, but I can't tell you because we find out later in this series why she couldn't confirm with him, the stories. And it just snowballs, he's just like, wait, so it was, but you said it wasn't. So what are we doing here? And then she's basically just like, get in the car. We got to go do something because something's happened. And we come to find out, from the beginning of the story, they found a scabbard with no sword in it. And we're like, okay, what is this? And so they progress through the story and they come across somebody that used to actually work with the Grand, right? Like, was she like another archaeologist or, adventurer, monster hunter of some sort, right?
Yep. And it's trying to figure out, all the other characters in the role, because there was that kind of the character who shows up right at the very first kind of panels when they're finding that, that it was, who you don't find out that kind of relationship or dynamic for a while.
Right.
But I think it's an interesting setup because you're getting both. It's almost a little bit of, it has a little bit of, if like Assassin's Creed storyline was trying to deal also in like King Arthur Knights, of just kind of like how you have kind of two sets of people that are trying to go after something, and they incorporate the old school world into it as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that point, but I would think it more be like Quentin Tarantino style, because it's all kind of taking place in the same time frame, not like one's a far distant past to a near closer future kind of thing. But I would agree with that. So you're kind of trying to figure out where the timeline is, and then you find out that it's happening in almost real time.
Right.
And so they're going through this adventure that the Grand knows what's going on, but the grandson Deacon has no idea what to expect or what's going on. And then we happen upon Arthur's tomb, right? And that's the last thing we see in the first issue is this woman that we find at the beginning of the story finds the scabbard, and they're trying to find where it comes out from. And the last panel is Arthur's tomb. And whenever you move on to the next issue after that, like I said, like after reading that first issue, I was sucked in. So it's like, okay, I got to find out what's going on in issue 2 right away. So were you having a same feeling like at the end, like I got to read it right now?
Yeah. I mean, the problem was I was picking up when it was coming out. So I think it was coming out monthly. If it came out in August and it's on issue 10 now, it's or maybe bi-week. I feel like bi-weekly we'd be far
out monthly.
Yeah.
It came out monthly.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be a lot longer along. So that's the tough part sometimes with when you're reading floppies, is how does trying to get back into the story, because we were talking about, you're like, hey, let's let's talk about Once and Future. And I was like, yes, I love this story. I just read issue 10, but realizing I hadn't done a reread forever. And and you pick up things that you notice that you're like, I missed it. And man, I do want to sidetrack, see run the comics comment. Man, Dan Mora's art is epic in this. And this is where it really takes it from like I think his artwork does really do that, where it shows you the benefit of an artist, what they bring to a comic, right? Like, because it is beautiful, and the covers that he does are fantastic. And yeah, it's so good that I think that it's engaging from that. It's moving. It takes you through it all. It's a beautiful aspect. But yeah, I mean, after issue 1, I was hooked. I was like, where are they going with this story? And because they kind of, not to jump ahead, but like issue 6, I think, concluded the first kind of story arc, and now we're in a second arc here. And you're still going like, where are they taking this? Because they can take it many different routes. And so, yeah, after issue 1 dropped, I remember going, holy cow, what is this? Because this is, I mean, you get your King Arthur tales all the time. You see it in movies, right? You got your Clive Owen King Arthur. You've got your First Night with Sean Connery, and
love that movie. That movie is amazing.
It's a great movie.
It's so great.
But this is a story that you have the King Arthur legend, right? You have the mythos of King Arthur, but it's then placed into, like we said, modern day. And it's just kind of this realm of going through the two realms in the worlds. And but it's also a take on King Arthur that you've never seen of. King Arthur is, usually the hero of the stories.
And that is not the case here at all. And when I found that out, because you pretty much, I'm scrolling through just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. You basically find that out pretty quick here in book 2.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
Well, you can hint from it at the first issue. You get some hints, but you're like... But until you read book 2, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So, these treasure hunters, let's call them treasure hunters, because that's pretty much what they were. But they knew what they were looking into, right? So these treasure hunters, they basically, they show up at King Arthur's tomb, right? They show up at King Arthur's tomb, and first off, that crown is just cool. I love the way that crown looks, Yep. And there it is, the once and future king, and she's got that scabbard, and she places it in the tomb, and it just sets off a chain of events that I had no idea that was going to be happening. Like the fact that King Arthur just decides he wants to kill all the Saxons. Like, wait, what? What is going on here? King Arthur is supposed to be a good guy. Why is he trying to murder a whole bunch of people?
Yeah, man, it's fantastic. And I mean, if you are a fan of, Arthurian legend, right? Like, the characters, and you're like, who's going to pop up and who are they bringing in? But yeah, and I mean, and then the chat's mentioned it. Ooh.
Yeah, we're going to get to it.
We'll get there.
We're going to get there. Because that was a very left field. I mean, it makes sense though. Like, if you think about it, like going with the medieval history and stuff, it makes sense. But
I mean, the story arc that you get of Gran in that first issue. I mean, you see her from being in the nursing home. You see her being, BA in the nursing home, to then to even get to where they're going to the King Arthur's tomb, right? The shooter's on to get him in the car, to hold him at gunpoint.
Yep. She did shoot him. She shot him in the ear. It was a flesh wound. And he was just like, you just shot me. And she's like,
I feel like it's almost like another nod to Monty Python with just another Arthurian legend.
Right.
If we get some European swallows in this
you need some coconuts. Where's the coconuts? I mean, I guess you could do it with comics, right? Like, you could just be like,
I was gonna say, bro, if you have coconuts hanging out in the comic lounge, then you're on top of it.
Right.
You are the new Rod the Rican, I guess.
So here's the thing that got me. You see this picture of King Arthur being resurrected basically from the dead. And like as he's coming back to life, he's just like talking in this weird ass language, right? We have no idea what he's saying. And they're like, give him time. And then he sticks his hand in this wall and he pulls out this sword. And right off the bat, I was like, oh shit. Did he just pull the sword out of the stone? But because Gran is a badass and she knows stuff that people don't because she's a badass, a sword in some stones, a buried sword. It's not the sword. We're close. And so, he's just standing there, you can see all of his intestines and all. It's crazy. Like this artwork was just amazing to see this. And it just goes to show like they're taking an old story, just like we've all heard over and over again, and doing a whole, just flipping the script. And I loved it. And just the progression through the story. And then all of a sudden, what's going on here? Oh, these guys, they're being basically like, they're like getting sacrificed? What? I need to taste your blood here real quick. What are you? Anglo-Saxon, how dare you? Whoosh, like, look at that. That is just sick. Oh man, it was awesome. And it was very much like, I don't know what's going on here. This is really confusing, but I have to keep reading. 100%.
Did not do that in First Night.
No, he did not do that. And so it's just like this panel right here showing Duncan and the Grand. I don't understand what's going on. And she's like, well, King Arthur fought a bunch of foreign invaders. It's true. But those invaders, they were Anglo-Saxons, and he doesn't like Anglo-Saxons. So like we're getting like an actual like first event, like not first event, but like a real good like history lesson from Gran within the universe to really show us what is going on and why is he like this.
And you cracked me up because when you're right there, like the way you said Duncan and the Gran, I'm like, man, that sounds like a buddy comedy.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Gran, like I'm like, I would also read that if people were called Duncan and the Gran, and it was more even buddy comedy style of them just like trolling through the Knights of the Round Table with Duncan and the Gran.
Like just book 2 completely set in stone the fact that I needed to get all these books. So we were talking about this, I think, like a couple weeks ago. I think we were on Old Wolf 95's channel, and I was asking everybody, how many books do you have in your collection? Going around the horn. Everybody's got 3,000 or more books in their personal collections. I'm at a measly like 370 right now. I really cut my collection in half a lot. So I haven't really been looking to get big titles, full series, unless they're specific ones. But after reading that first book and then continue on into the second book where you start just getting these curveballs out of left field, I had to go out and get the entire set as much as I could. And right now I'm sitting at all the books right now except for 2. And that's just because my shop and another shop I went to, they didn't have like books 2 and 5. I think I'm missing 2, 4, and 5. And that 100%. Like this is completely story driven for me. Not so much like the collecting or the spec for it, but the story is just great. And just showing the cover art on here, I mean, it just goes to show that great artists, great writers make amazing stories, which is what all comics are about.
Well, and that's one of the things I think we talk about. Like, you can enjoy a comic because you enjoy it. I think people sometimes like, oh, I stopped getting it because it isn't, the there isn't like, but a lot of us are getting it for like, not to say we don't appreciate knowing that our comics are going to be worth a lot because we got the first issue of Once and Future, but we do want to read it for the story. And yeah, thank you, Run the Comics. It is a dope hat. So it is. I get more comments on this hat, and so when I started doing YouTube off topic because we went there, this was like the hat I wore for like my first 3 videos, and in all those videos I got comments of like the hat. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just keep it in as my staple look. But this is actually I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and we have a AAA team here called the Columbus Clippers. And if anybody follows AAA baseball, 2 seasons ago, I think they started doing every Friday night. They would do it was like a Hispanic heritage kind of league or like Latino night kind of, and all the teams had different uniforms. So typically we are the Columbus Clippers with like a boat and everything as our emblem, like not really intimidating. But then when they got this kind of special series that the AAA team were doing, they had this hat, and I was like, yes. So
it's super dope. It's super dope. My hat that I've been wearing in my videos, I have it over here. My Wubba Lubba Dubba.
Nice.
So it's kind of like clunky to wear with my headset and stuff, but
yeah, I don't go that route, so it works out really well.
There you go. Hey, so Two Brothers, you just kind of touched on something that we briefly talked about earlier. We were looking on the eBays for recent sales. So you can get a Once and Future #1 first print near mint anywhere from $6 to $10. Now this is like, I don't know why this is here. That makes no sense. It's not showing a Virgin variant, so they're smoking out their butt. But yeah, like this is still a very affordable book. You know, you can look on just like what's being offered right now. There you go, $10 first print. They even got a 6 print on there. Shoot, you can even get like this whole lot. You know, it's very affordable. Like if you guys are interested in this type of story whatsoever, if you like medieval content, this is definitely something that you should check out.
Did you say a 6 print? The first issue went to 6 prints?
Yeah. There is a bunch of prints on here. Let me look on Comics Price Guide.
That makes it even more mind-boggling for me. Again, I'm newer to the collecting game, so I don't know this type of stuff. But for a book to have 6 prints, that tells me the scarcity of issue 1, that it probably should be a little higher. So that's mind-blowing to me because, I mean, you see a lot of comics that when they go to 6 print, and I'm already assuming like
I'm about to boggle your mind right now. It went to 8 prints.
That's what Run the Comics literally just said that as you said that. That's mind-boggling to me because it's already got to be. I'm assuming Boom Studio puts out less first comics than Marvel or DC or even Image. Or maybe not so much, but like for it to go to 8 printings and that you can get issue 1, the first printing, at still double, that's insane to me. Like, why did it have to go to 8 prints?
It's got some awesome looking covers here, and they all range from $11 for like a 9.4. Like I'm. Just off the Comics Price Guide right off the bat. Second print going for $34. Like that's insane. And then you got all the way down to 8 print still going strong for $4. So at a 9.4, obviously 9.8 is going to be more, but 8 prints for this book. You know, that's a lot. That's like a Venom. That's like a Venom or an Immortal Hulk. Right.
So I got two questions. So part A of the question is, I would love for someone to tell me what is the most runs a comic has gone into. Like how far? Like 8 seems like a lot. So like I would be very curious if someone can find out what the most runs a comic has gone to. And the second part is and this I will ask it for Vincent since you're looking and run the comics since you said you have a lot of them. Are the covers drastically different for the 1 through 8 printings?
They are different.
Because what I feel like Boom Studios and smaller studios do a better job at those, and Marvel has gotten better at it now with like the Venom prints to be completely different.
Yeah,
like Batman 89, like, and they've always done this. DC has to be like, oh, Batman 89, this one's in purple background, and this one has the same picture with the green background smoke, and the
this
third
is
frame the same
different.
background with a red smoke.
This is very different. So like
that's smart then by them.
That's the second print. This third print, honestly, I think I want to try to find that because that is just sick. The fourth print, that's very Sword and Stone homage, but King Arthur's going crazy. I mean, Grand with rocket launchers and an AK-47. I mean, that's just hilarious.
I want her to be my grandma.
Right?
Actually, I take it back. I really don't.
So there you go. You got the quest. You got the quest monster on that 7th print, which is actually really pretty cool. But the 8th print looks like it's the same as cover A, but it looks like it's got different color to it.
And it looks and Run the Comics, man, he's like right before you. He's said it's different except for the same reflection.
Yeah, Run the Comics, man. You are showing me up here, man. I'm trying to run a show and do this and stay on top of it, but you're beating me. That's pretty awesome, man.
Well, he's not running a show, so it helps. I mean, Vincent, I tell everyone, and I'll say it to the chat here too, man. Vincent is someone that I would take if I could have just like a pocket-sized Vincent that I could keep in my pocket to just have him come with me to comic stores to let me know everything. He has like his computer screens up and he's like, man, I can just tell Vincent, look this up, and he's got it. So man, yeah, this has been just a great series though, for sure.
I love it. Okay, Dustin, I'm assuming this is Dustin from Two Bros. If it's Nick, sorry, but I just assume it's Dustin. All right, here's that variant that you're talking about here. Look at that thing.
Ooh.
That is just so clean. I would love to have that. Could you imagine trying to get that in a 9.8 graded? Like, that has got to be one of the toughest things to get graded. 100%. Okay, so that book right now. Let me pull up the price here. Oh my Lord. Okay, so a 9.8 graded on the Comics Price Guide. Now, Comics Price Guide I feel like is a little bit less overall versus like eBay sales. But Comics Price Guide is putting at a 9.8, $338.
Sheesh.
At that New York Comic Con variant. That is a lot. I mean, variants and whatnot, different printings and, speculation and cost for that. That's obviously a whole nother genre that we've all been involved in and talking about. But I think it really does go to show how much of a sleeper. And I think somebody probably said that. I think, Dustin, you probably said that earlier. Like, this story in this series is very much a sleeper. And Kieran Gillen does an amazing job at putting this all together. I just, man, it's so great. So I'm going to try to find where Beowulf gets introduced here, because it was said in the chat, and
issue I want to say issue 6 ends the arc. I think at the end of issue 7, I think someone said 6, but I think it's the end of issue 7 is the splash page for Beowulf, because then I'm pretty sure it's end of issue 7.
Let's see if I can find it here real quick, because that is definitely one of the coolest things I had no idea that was coming around. 100%. I know I'm kind of like skipping through a bunch of some other information, but
about a lot. You still want to give people a chance to read and see. So, do you want me to show the page? I have it. It's issue 7.
Oh, it's issue 7?
Yeah,
go ahead, pull it up. Look at that. Oh, that is sick. And he's just like encased in fire and just like Oh, that's so cool. So
Um,
cool.
yeah, because it's the book stolen. They kind of do and then boom, Beowulf just pops off there. So, man, which the first thing I feel like no one remembers. There was that it. I don't even want to say animated movie because that doesn't do it justice. It's like the computer graphic, like try to be realistic style movie that they did in like I think the early 2000s, mid 2000s, called Beowulf.
Mm-hmm.
It was right on the heels of when they did that Final Fantasy movie.
Are you talking about the one with Angelina Jolie?
Yes,
Like the animated one?
yes, but I don't like to use the term animated because it's not really. I don't know what it would have been. It's not animated in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like it's realistic.
You are very 100% right on the Final Fantasy the Spirits Within, I think is what that was called.
Yep.
That is an amazing movie, by the way. If you
It
guys
is.
haven't ever seen that movie, like that literally changed the face of animation movies 100% all the way.
And this one was done in the same vein, I felt like.
Yes, like it's very similar, but because it was recent, the graphics were like way better and more up to date. So it looked like I felt like everything looked wet, like the whole time, like everything was sweating, but it was like really cool. So yeah, I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because that one came out. I'm just looking up myself. That one came out in 2007, the Beowulf one.
Right. Okay.
And Final Fantasy Spirit Within was 2001. So there was 6 years, but it was in that same kind of scope.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a while.
But there wasn't really any other movies that did that. Anyways, that's off my sidetrack of pop culture.
It's okay, man. So
yeah.
one of the things that I kind of like correlate with Once and Future, specifically this story, and a little bit in like traditional King Arthur stuff. I'm a huge Hellboy fan. All right.
Okay.
I love Hellboy. Okay. I loved all the movies that they put out. Even all of them. The most recent one actually has grown on me a lot. 100%. That's going to be my hot take. Okay.
I haven't seen it, so I can't give a hot take. I just know people didn't like it.
Okay. So here's what I would say. Okay. Well, did you watch Den of Thieves?
No.
Okay, then that won't make sense. But
I'd go there though. Let's take it. Let's.
Okay, so I got to go one more step further. Have you seen Heat?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Den of Thieves, in layman's terms, without going crazy out all aboard, Den of Thieves is basically a newer, kind of sort of different story from Heat. Like it's really good. Like the first opening scene in Heat was them, robbing the armored car. Well, guess what? They basically did like a homage kind of thing in the very beginning of Den of Thieves, and it was really cool. It set the movie up really great. I loved it. However, as the movie progressed, it kind of goes downhill just a little bit. Okay. But the more times that I've watched it, it's grown on me. Such as the most recent Hellboy, the more times I've watched it, the more it's actually grown on me. It's actually really awesome. And
so you're saying I should watch it?
I think you should watch it, give your opinion about it, but I really think you would probably need to watch it a couple times just because, like it'll grow on you. It's weird.
That's a good sell to say. Listen, you're gonna like it. You gotta watch it 6 times though.
No. You don't have to watch it 6 times.
You get down by it eventually that you like it.
No, you don't have to watch it 6 times. Watch it at least a couple times, right? But it's a little funky. It's a little weird. So like, for example, the Ron Perlman Hellboy movies. If we were to give him an age at where he's at, okay, in his life as Hellboy, he's more kind of like a tween, right? We'll call him like a tween, okay? Like he's still kind of young. You know, he's really trying to like starting to kind of get into stuff going on here a little bit. Starting to get some love going on. The new Hellboy, I feel like he's more of like a teenager that's got major daddy issues that he's trying to work through, and he's mad at his dad and all this kind of stuff. Like in the Ron Perlman ones, it was more still like pretty like really respectful kind of thing. Like dad's word is final. But in the new one with the Dan Harmon one, he's like, Dad, what did you do to me? Why did you do these things? So with all that being said, in this Hellboy movie, you find out that Hellboy is actually the sole heir and descendant of King Arthur, which makes him King of England. Now, this actually is in a Hellboy story called The Wild Hunt. And that's literally like one of the major plot points of that story. Besides the fact that there's this witch that is like trying to like destroy the world and make Hellboy like unleash hell on earth kind of thing. And so because you find out that Hellboy is heir and king of England, while I was reading Once and Future, I could not help but think about that like this entire time. Like that correlation, I know I had to like go like way around left field, out the back, and like through the dugout and back to home plate to get to this point. But that really like hit a bone for me because like it was really cool reading it because like I love all that supernatural, mystical, medieval storyline. And that's just like adding more to the cake.
So the question is Hellboy going to be seen in this series?
I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see Hellboy in a Boom Studio production of any kind. Not to say that Mr. Mignola would be like completely against it or anything, but I don't know. But it would be kind of interesting because like it is kind of dark. It is pretty creepy. And maybe they could do it. You know, maybe there could be a crossover.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Vincent McLean, the comic machine, is calling for a Once and Future Hellboy crossover.
I mean, that would be sick. I mean,
I would probably get lost on it, and I probably would be done with Once in the Future.
Maybe if they did like a one shot, you know, like a one shot where like they had like a side quest, right? So they're on the main quest, but they had a side quest, and they just like it was like whenever Professor X and Magneto saw Wolverine in the bar, and they're like, "Are you Logan?" He's like, "Go fuck yourself," and then they just turned around and walked out. Like maybe if they did something like that, that would be cool. But you know, I don't know.
You never know. Yeah, I feel like I'd like Hellboy. I haven't gotten into it as much. So, anyways, back to Once and Future.
Go for it.
I will just say, and I'm not going to say what it is, but if y'all are reading Once in the Future or the Once in Future, issue 10 has the best comic cameo in my opinion of all time. Like it's up there as one of my favorite cameos. It's so good.
Well, tell them what it is.
I don't want to spoil it if they aren't reading it.
Well, you got to tell them.
But how many of you, real quick, show of hands, how many of you guys have read it? We'll give the chat a second to catch up. Mute yourself. Timestamp this.
I mean...
actually, I have the book right here. So let's just... So I'm giving you guys... I'm stalling. If you don't want to see the spoiler... Okay, Run Comics hasn't on yet. Nope, I'm not going to do it. Because Run Comics is with us.
Yeah, but when you say cameo... You really mean like a brief appearance?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but it's there for like... I'm counting the panels here. Hold on.
3 panels. Isn't it?
I mean, are we counting body parts? Like at least to where you can see faces? I'm,
Anyway,
I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about it.
Here's the deal. It doesn't matter. If y'all are reading it, you'll know. And if you aren't reading it, just send me a message. I'll send you a picture later.
Yeah, like definitely.
But I'm a respect run the comics because he's been hanging with us nonstop. Skeff, if you want to see the panel, we'll message you it because it's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and 100%. I think with them being there, just bringing pop culture for full circle is just
Right.
is awesome.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel like that is just. I want to know too, like, I want to know.
Everybody's freaking out.
It is. I want to know whose decision that is. Like, is that the writer who's like, "Hey," Karen Gillan's like, "Hey, put this in real quick," or if it was just the artist who's like, "Hey, I have to draw something. I'm going to draw this," and that's what I think is just great.
Yeah,
I would love to sit down with them and just say, "Who did this?" But I think just the whole storyline that you get of Once and Future, it's because one of the things that makes a good story for me is you have a main character who captivates you right off the bat, which we've said it from the get-go is Gran. Like Gran, if Gran ever dies, I'm probably done with the comic because she makes the comic in my book.
She can't die. There's no way. She can't.
Well, she's like 98 years old. She probably could. Like that would be the worst of like this book. Like they're fighting demons. They're fighting like demon King Arthur and like quest beasts, and they're just like, oh, Gran died of dementia because she's old. Or something just obscure, like not obscure, but something that, you know, a lot of our, you know, dealing with grandparents have had to go through or something. You know, like, and not be like taken out in like the most awesome way ever, like by getting eaten by Beowulf or something, right? Like,
right.
But what I will say is, so she's the main character that I think like captivates you right off the bat. Like she draws you in as a reader. That's everyone's favorite character. Duncan is a pansy.
But he comes into his own.
He comes into his own. And that's what I was saying. Like the character, the growth development of Duncan's character, I think is really well done. And I think that's what takes it, because I feel like if you can't really grow, I think Gran's character too much. She's what, 98. She is who she is.
Yeah, she's literally set in stone. Without
like you're not going to see her like say like get an emotional like change of heart. Really, you kind of see like notes of that, and I think issue 9. But you wonder how realistic that is when she's back at the home for a little bit. Like, like how much does that really mean? But for Duncan's character to go through the growth that he goes through, I think it's a believable. It's not rushed.
Yeah.
And I think it helps carry the story along, because without that, you're going to lose some of that dichotomy of what makes a great story for me.
Yeah. And I think you're touching on some great points about that, because the character of Gran is so ornery, right? Like she is 100% ornery. And, you know, later in the story, after he basically accepts the fact that his Gran didn't lie to him, but also didn't tell him the truth about things that were actually true. So he feels betrayed, right? So he feels like he's been lied his whole life, but he wasn't. She just like omitted certain details and like whatnot. And so there's that point where Duncan and her aren't speaking to each other, right? And she's back at the home. Duncan's going through and trying to figure stuff out. And I guess it is it his girlfriend? Are they actually an item now, or is she just being used as Q, basically?
Man, they have not had the DTR yet, right? They have not had to define the relationship. So they can say hookup buddies or pals. I don't even think they've done that.
Maybe
Like,
just friends. Like they're just using each other's friends.
they are
She
people who
have,
have the potential to be boyfriend and girlfriend, but
yeah,
he's been so busy going on quests.
yeah, and not really talking with
Right.
Gran because he's hurt because of what she did. So I think that plays into the realism of actual relationships that you can have with people where you get some of the truth but not all the truth, and so that makes the person that was basically left out of those all the truth feel some type of way towards
Right.
that person. So I think having that in there, like you said, that dichotomy of character and development is very vital to giving more complexity between the relationship of Duncan and Gran to
Right.
further on the story, to try to put their differences aside and work through it, and then handle the massive screwed up situation at hand.
Right.
I mean, she was and is ornery.
I just love the fact that you've said words that have just made me laugh. You're like, Hellboy when he was a tween, Gran, he's so ornery. Like, that's something like I'll say to like my kids, like, you're being ornery right now. Like, I've never heard that the use to define someone who is the embodiment of one of the toughest female characters you've ever seen in a comic.
But she's being ornery. Like,
ornery. Like, it just like that
Hey.
is something like that's something a grandparent would say, not Gran.
no, she would, and I'm surprised she hadn't said it, but I think she would say to Duncan that he's being cantankerous.
Right. But he wouldn't be like, Gran, you being ornery.
Yeah,
Stop
she being. So
This is what happens. This is what happens when you bring me on your show. I'm a
you
child.
poke fun, right? You poke fun.
I do.
You poke fun because you care, right?
Well, here's the deal. Who was I on? I think you were on the stream. We were
It
on.
was with John.
With John. And
we
John's
talking
like,
about brothers and stuff like that. Yeah.
but John's like, listen, if I don't make fun of you or give you a hard time, I probably don't like you.
You don't have to give me a hard time and make fun of me. You could just laugh at my funny jokes.
I wasn't really making fun of you. It was more just chuckling at what you were saying, calling Gran ornery.
I get that sometimes. Yeah, my wife does that too.
Did she call you ornery? Sorry.
No, hold on. Hey, have you ever called me ornery? She said not yet. She probably will at some point, though.
Well, now you put that in her vocabulary. She's there.
Right. So I was scrolling through. I think I'm on book. Where am I at? I'm on book 8.
Okay. Yep.
I'm on book 8, and I'm scrolling through, and this is where Beowulf is really making his entrance. I'm going to pull this up so we can see it here. So you see Beowulf comes to your hall, and just like looking just jacked, like 100% jacked. And this dude's got flames coming off of his body. Like, where do I get that? What level is that? Is that over 9,000? Do we consider that over 9,000?
I feel like that's a Dragon Ball Z reference, and you know me.
Okay, so in Power Ranger terms, is that like where all the Power Rangers come together and make the Mega Ranger? Like, are we at Mega Ranger level here? Dude, it's been so long. Like, you can't hate. You can't hate. It's been so long.
Dustin, thank goodness Two Brothers Comics is off, because if Dustin, why do I act like I'm not going to tell Dustin to tell that Vincent called it a Mega Ranger? But yeah, this is Beowulf in like full just like awesomeness.
Exactly. And Arthur is like, I'm the one who whips the Saxon dogs, and Beowulf's, no Saxon am I. And then this super awesome panel that they're just going to go at it. And Beowulf, he has a sword. Look, right there. He's got a sword. Does he pull it out? No. He doesn't pull it out at all. And they just go toe-to-toe. I mean, look at the size of this dude. He is just huge. And yet, and I got to find it. So let me pull out here. I gotta
also love that
find.
you're finding it. Run the Comics is back with issue 10. Do you work at a comic shop or did you literally leave the stream to go buy issue 10 in your back here? He's like, hold on, you guys are talking issue 10? I'm only at 9. Let me run to the store real quick. I'm back, gang. All right. Here we go.
Okay, so I'm on. I'm not going to get to issue 10 because there's that cameo in there, and I don't want to ruin it.
It's been we'll give people a week. We can go up to 9. If you're watching this stream with us so far and you're up to 9, that's where we'll stop at spoilers.
Yeah. So issue 9. So Beowulf basically has been tasked by King Arthur to go and hunt down these Saxon rebels, which is AKA Duncan and Gran. And it starts out issue 9 here where Beowulf jumped on top of their car and ripped the roof off. Like, look at this. This dude is literally on fire. No pun intended. And
this dude is on fire.
there you go. And so Duncan ends up flipping the car. Beowulf, rolls off into a whole heap of mess, right? And so the cool thing about this, I don't know if it's cool or, kind of like real bad sacrificial lamb situation going on here. But Gran's like, show him the sharp end, Duncan. And he's like, oh. And Beowulf's like, ugh, full rage. But the thing that gets me, and I can't believe it happened, is she just randomly has a claymore in her back pocket. Just of all the things to have. And while Duncan's distracting Beowulf, she's set up this trap, and he's like, do you make me for some fool? Come on. Beowulf is not a drunken bear lumbering into a trap, but he's holding the claymore in his hand, and Duncan just shoots it, and just this massive explosion. Now, we don't see his body at all. They don't show his body after this. Like, we can go through it here. Look, there's no body, because after they do that whole bit, it's a whole different section of the story. So, do you think he's dead?
No. They don't show you the body because they know they can't kill off Beowulf. Like, you heard the two people in the chat earlier who we were talking about it. We didn't even get to it. They're like, Beowulf, like, his character is just so sweet. Like, it's such a dope character that, like, why they can do so much with that story, and it almost feels like, as cool as it is, because it shows like how really like BA Gran is and how Duncan's becoming, by like, oh, we weren't really having you try and go over a tripwire, like we wanted you to pick it up, we'll still shoot the claymore and you're still gonna die. It makes Beowulf go out like a chump, in my opinion. Like,
yeah,
they're not gonna let Beowulf go out like a chump,
especially with how they presented him leading up to all of this.
If you make him out to be like a side character, like if you make him out to be Bane from Batman and Robin, and not actually really Bane, I think like then you're like, okay, yeah, he's dead, because he's just like, he's a side muscle character who's there to, pull out a hit. But like, they hype him up to be like a legit character.
Yeah.
And I think there's no way in my mind that he is. So
yeah. So speaking of legit characters, I'm gonna need to go through find. I'm gonna need to go through and find the issue, because we haven't touched on this character just yet, and the take that Kieran Gillen went with this character is really interesting, in my opinion, because it paints a completely different picture of, maybe not paints a completely different picture, because he has his hands in everything. And I'm talking about Merlin. So,
yep.
The thing that I love about Merlin is he's like the almighty wizard of all wizards, right? In some, and this is going to be another controversial statement, okay? I'm sure in some circles, some people out there are probably going to think I'm crazy for saying it, but I think Merlin might be more powerful than Dumbledore. Right? Like, if you were to put Merlin and Dumbledore in a clash of titans, I think Merlin might come out on top.
I don't read Harry Potter.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by for the stream. We'll catch you guys next week. No, I'm just kidding.
I will say I've seen all the Harry Potter movies except for Part 7, Part 2. I don't know if I would say like the character that they've made of Merlin would be at that. I don't know if you'd have enough backing to support that. Again, I'm not a Harry Potter nerd, so I can't tell you that. But I don't know if you have enough story to go off of and say that he's at that level. But that's me.
Well, I think the books paint a pretty good picture of how powerful Dumbledore is, and in the movies they make it seem real subtle.
Okay.
Do you remember? I don't remember. I want to say it's the Order of the Phoenix, where you see Dumbledore. I thought you just said you've seen the movies.
Okay, I've seen him one time. I'm literally the worst person to ask any questions about Harry Potter references.
All right. Well, in one of the movies, I'm pretty sure it's the Order of the Phoenix. Towards the end of the movie, you see Dumbledore go toe to toe with Voldemort, and they're in the Ministry of Magic, and Dumbledore is literally like the best description I can give is Dumbledore's ice and Voldemort is fire. And literally, they're just going back and forth, spell versus spell, countering, reconjuring, negating each other's spells and stuff like that. So that's the first time you really see like true Dumbledore magic prowess, right?
Okay.
However, I feel like Merlin has just almost like unimaginable power.
But have we seen that?
So here's maybe not in this story just yet, but if you take, for example, the Sam Neill Merlin series from like the late 80s, 90s. Yeah, so there you go.
The TV, like the 3-episode TV miniseries.
There you go. So if you take that Merlin with being how powerful he is, having his fingers in everything, and playing the game, like he plays the game, and then you take that character and you bring it into Once and Future, but you amp it up plus 10. I think Merlin is going to really come out on top and show some serious business.
So you're not saying the Merlin character we're seeing right now. You're talking about just in like pop culture references, because my only thing is we haven't seen what you're talking about, Merlin. You see he's an architect, the architect here throughout it all. He's a puppet master, but I don't know if you've actually seen like what he can do.
We haven't seen that yet. And I think in the next couple issues, maybe even the next issue, hopefully we get to see that. But like my previous banter was like, yes, I think, yeah. But
so when we see that, what we'll do is then we will do a show where we'll do an Elite 8 of just like characters that who would win in a battle, and you can have Merlin. We'll bring Skeff on to defend Dumbledore. I'll throw in like Yoda, and we'll just have and we'll have everyone pick it out, and we'll just have like a bracketeer of like people that like you see like that are like old feeble people that
yeah.
One movie all of a sudden you're like, bam, they're dope. Like, yeah, because say what you will about the prequels, when Yoda fights in episode 2, that theater was on their.
Everybody lost their shit, like 100%. And even when Yoda fought Dooku the first time, and we got to see him go all crazy doing his whole flippies.
That's what I was talking about in episode 2, because then episode 3 was when he was with Palpatine. But
yeah.
Episode 2, when you first see him, like that's the only reason to watch Attack of the Clones. Anyways, I don't want to get you to get thumbs down on this video, so I'll stop talking.
No, I like that. That's fine. We can get thumbs down because that's just as much traffic as getting thumbs up. That's fine.
Yeah, and
So,
Gandalf, we didn't even talk about Gandalf. There's so many that we can bring into this.
exactly.
Force.
So let me show this here. Okay, so this is off of the cover of book 8. All right. Look at Merlin. Like, what is this? What is going on here? Yeah, there you go. Like, Merlin's got like biceps and like massive shoulders. He's got this crazy ass wizard staff and he's got a scythe. Like, what is going on here? Like, Once and Future is just completely curveballing us here, and it's amazing.
What it's showing us is that Merlin doesn't skip chest day at the gym. That's what.
No, he doesn't.
But you notice he's wearing a robe, so you can't see if he's got them chicken legs, and he probably skips leg. Merlin seems like a guy that would skip leg day.
Right. I think he might skip leg day. You might be right about that. I think seeing this character in here, like I was wondering when they were going to bring Merlin in, and then you're reading it and you start to see what he's doing. He's weaving a web of woe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you see it. You see that he is the mastermind of everything that's happening. He has his, he has his finger in everything. He knows what's going on. He has different things set up. And I think you see that, I think, in the old stories of the old Arthurian legend stories of Merlin. Like, he's always around. He kind of is the one that is, puppeteering from for a sense. But this, I think, that Once and Future, it's setting it up to take it off. Merlin is someone that you're not going to want to mess around with. And
no,
bit. Not saying that you wouldn't, but I mean, this is not your Sam Neill Merlin, right? Like,
no, not at all. And a buddy of mine from work, he actually said that I think the new Merlin TV show that's on Netflix is actually really good. So I'm probably gonna have to go check it out at some point and see what's going on, because I haven't been reading any fantasy stuff or anything like that. So that would be good to add to the quarantine pandemic watching binge series. So let me know if you guys have actually seen that, because like I said, buddy at work said it was pretty good. But yeah, I think Merlin in Once and Future is going to lay down some serious power, and the other archaeologist, I don't remember what her name is. The one in the beginning. You remember her name?
Starts with an M, I think.
Let me see if I can pull up a character list. But no, I don't think I'm gonna be able to pull that up quick. But anyways, if I remember correctly, in one of the books, when basically the original plan was for her son Galahad, was supposed to go and claim some type of item, and he basically screwed it all up. And they were all in like an alternate realm. Like, there's like the Arthur realm, which is he can't cross over yet, right?
The other world, I think, is what they call it. Yeah,
the other world. He can't cross over, but there's certain things in the other world he has to have in order to get it in other parts of the other world. And Galahad just screws it up, and his mother goes to flee. And that's when we get introduced to Merlin. And he has a plan for her. And he says that he's going to make her Nimue, which is really interesting because Nimue is an evil person, evil witch, 100%. Just like in the Hellboy movie with Dan Harmon. If you watch that movie, you're going to see Nimue. She's
full circle.
She's, like I said, like it's good. Like, I liked it, and it deals with like medieval stuff, so, and all supernatural. But I think what might end up happening
Okay.
is once she's done whatever Merlin is asking her to do, and he turns her into Nimue. Because in the original Arthur stories, he falls in love with Nimue and like goes insane because of it, and she ends up. It's either she or him or both of them pull a Romeo and Juliet, and basically like one or the other dies. So I'm wondering if that's going to happen, but maybe like Arthur dies at the same time, or maybe Gran's going to die.
Ooh, you shut your mouth. Grandson dying.
I don't want Gran to die because she's an integral part of the story, but I'm curious to see how that's going to happen. Maybe she's going to like resurrect Beowulf. Maybe he did suffer some serious injuries from that claymore. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think in the comments after this video post. What do you think? Because I want to see more Beowulf. Because
I think everyone does.
Like he did not have enough screen time. And I feel like Arthur's not really showing his like Arthurness as much as Beowulf has showed his Beowulfness.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. I'm already getting in trouble by Dustin here. Looks like he decided he wanted to come back and hang out with us a little bit.
I never like to call someone out, but Dustin wasn't in the stream because he did not hear what you called the Power Rangers.
No, he didn't, and that's fine.
He would have, just like he said in all caps there, he would have all caps you so quick, son.
I know, but that's okay because I'm not a Power Rangers guy. I don't really remember much of Power Rangers from back in the day, so that's okay. Dustin, when you watch this stream, probably what was that? Maybe like at the hour mark?
I'm just gonna tell him. I'm not even gonna make you watch it.
Oh Lord. Okay, go ahead, do it.
Just because he's here.
Just do it.
Dustin, he said it's kind of like when all the Power Rangers get together and they make that Mega Power Ranger. That's what it's called, right? A Mega Power Ranger.
Yeah, it's a Mega Ranger. You know, that's how it is.
I about hopped off the stream right there.
It's like, here, I'll do you one more. It's like when all the turtles come and put their shells together and they become like.
You see?
Yeah.
I'm looking at my Turtle Arcade here. You curb your tongue.
Oh, man. Oh, that was great. Run the comics, man. I see you finished reading number 10. Yeah,
Aren't you glad I didn't tell you that spoiler now, Run the Comics? You're welcome. It was fantastic.
If you are a pop culture nerd and when you saw that cameo in issue 10, I was like, I literally had to like do a double take. I was like, what the hell? What is going on here? That was great. I will say it makes sense that in issue 10 that bad guy shows up. It makes sense, but I don't know. Do you think the Grendel showing up was a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, it's a great thing. It's a great thing.
I like how they drew the Grendel. Thanks, Dustin.
So it obviously is Nick that's on, not Dustin.
There we go. Hey, Nick, if you were here earlier, I made a Dragon Ball Z reference for Beowulf whenever he goes toe to toe with King Arthur and he's like over 9,000. So I made that reference, and
see, that's a tricky stuff with the channel. Like, who do you? Because you said one thing that would have literally had one of the brothers just destroy you, and then you said another thing that the other brother would like, thank you.
Oh, it is Dustin. Okay, all right. So here's what you guys need to do. You need to have like one logo, like y'all's logo, the Two Brothers logo. You need to have one color that's not red for one of you and a different color for the other one. Like somehow make that a thing. Then we can like differentiate which one's which.
Oh man. There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
I know there's Dustin now. That's all he
Yeah,
needs.
it's
We're in.
All right, we've come literally full circle again.
We have.
So, man, this has been great.
Yeah.
And
It hasn't been a blast, man. It's been a blast. Thanks.
I've been enjoying trying to find like a second day to do a YouTube related thing, and I think doing a live stream and either just doing just random hangouts or doing reviews over books that we all really like has been great. I've really enjoyed it a lot, and it's awesome to see people actually show up and watch and comment, and I really like it. It's great. So, thank you very much for coming on and hanging out with me today. And
yeah, absolutely, man, that's been a blast. Like it is like it. I think that's what's so great about hopping on these streams. Like we can, we're talking about once in future. We're having a blast, but we're also just having fun, making fun of everything that we love, and stuff like that, which even is more fun sometimes.
yeah, totally. So, with that being said, guys, we've been on for almost an hour and a half. I'm going to go ahead and call it for the night. So thank you, Bearded Comic Bro, for showing up. Tell everybody, once again, if you're getting into this late, tell us where we can find you. Where are you at?
So yeah, Bearded Comic Bro, find me on YouTube. If you're not following me, come hang out. We have fun. We laugh, we cry. It's all good. But I'm on Instagram. I'm on the Twitter. I'm beardedcomicbro.com. I'm everywhere. If you can have the name Bearded Comic Bro, I'm on podcasts, Apple, Spotify. I'm just like, I don't put anything out but my YouTube channel, and I just use all those other outlets. But so come find me on YouTube. Like I said, Mondays I'm on. Mondays I drop unboxing. Thursdays I drop just some more, usually either interviews or just fun videos where we're laughing and cutting it up. Usually my wife and I talking about random comic things, because she knows a lot, but she also, I don't know a lot still too. So we're just kind of learning together. So it's fun. Excuse me. But yeah, come hang out. Usually you can just turn on YouTube and I'm probably on someone's show, because I like talking about comics and pop culture. So
there you have it, folks. Bearded Comic Bro. And for those of us that actually don't know your first name, what is your first name?
Oh, so yeah, it's such a weird thing, right? So I'm Greg. So
there you go, folks. If you didn't know what his first name was, it is Greg.
Yeah,
I knew what it is, but other people might not have known it.
Well, it's funny because so I had a writer. One of my first interviews was with an art creator named Rylan Grant, and then I went on a Kickstarter. I did some Kickstarter stuff, and we were messaging off brand, and I said something about Kickstarter. He goes, "You did? You bought?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we've only interacted as Bearded Comic Bro, but then like all my PayPal stuff is all Greg," and so it's like, "Oh." He's like, "I never put two." I go, "Well, I wouldn't expect you to put two and two together."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
there you have it, folks. Greg, the Bearded Comic Bro. He is everywhere. And if you haven't already been subscribed, guess what? You best be going to subscribe to my homie. All right. You know who I am. I hosted this thing, the Monday night Jibber Jabber. I might make it a continuous thing. I'm gonna find a way to put like a wrestling ring behind the Monday night Jibber Jabber on the thumbnail, because that would be kind of cool. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm Vincent McLean, the Comic Machine, and I feel like I'm not doing the name justice because Comic Jabroni would always say it. Vincent McLean, the Comic Machine. So there we go.
He would do the draw out to Vincent McLean.
There it goes.
Comic Machine.
There it goes. Just it's just kind of how it's been that he was doing that, and so it's wonderful. You guys can find me on YouTube. I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook just because I'm old. I'm just kidding. It's not because it's yeah. Find me on YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram if you guys got questions or you need extra info. Apparently, I'm the guy that Greg wants to take around to like get information on books and stats and
Dude,
prices, and
he is my personal key collector. He's my go collect, all
Yeah.
wrapped into one.
I literally am on that all the time. I'm looking at prices. It's funny that you said that because Skeff is my my go-to for finding information. So
See, Skeff is my dude if I want to find a book 3 months from now. He's my
yeah, that too.
You are my right now in the moment. Let me know what I need.
Right now. So there you go. There you have it. Monday night Jibber Jabber. Thank you guys for watching. Y'all have a great day. Peace out.
Peace.